This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice you know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF. Visit with your local ag retailer about 0% financing on all BASF crop protection, seed treatment, and Zetavo brand soybeans now through March 15th. I'm Ty Higgins. New and now at OhioAgNet.com, lawmakers in Columbus could be looking at changes to Ohio's current Agricultural Use Valuation Program, or CAUV, when the legislature returns in the new year. A new bill, House Bill 575, introduced by Representatives David Thomas and Bob Peterson, doesn't lower CAUV taxes, but it would overhaul how the program works. Under the proposal, farmers would no longer need to file annual CAUV renewal forms, and county auditors would be required to offer electronic filing and notify landowners about soil types and valuation updates. The bill also aims to simplify multi-county applications to ensure property tax bills clearly show the CAUV savings. For full details on the proposed CAUV changes and what they could mean for your operation, read the full article online now at OhioAgNet.com. John Deere's autonomous tillage solution gives farmers flexibility during busy seasons by freeing time and labor for critical tasks like planting and harvest. Michael Porter is John Deere's go-to-market manager. He talks about some of the things that are new from Deere.
One of the things I think a lot of your listeners in Ohio would be interested in learning about is our new autonomous tillage system. So ability for a tractor to pull into a field with a tillage tool, and then the operator get out, start the machine using their phone, and go do something else. Go focus on planting, go focus on harvest, whatever it may be. We know things are tight, things are busy, and there's never enough time in the day, and this is our way of trying to get more time in the day for producers.
Porter says it's key to make sure the dealers are ready to roll out this new technology to producers, and they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Dealers have been training and been working on this in our testing phase over the last few years, including dealers in Ohio, and now we're ready to allow customers to come tell us they're ready and order kits. And the learning curve is steep, as for some customers who maybe haven't had experience with technology in the past. But for those growers that have been coming along that journey with us, AutoTrack, Operations Center, all those things, they've been kind of saying, I'm spending a lot of time in the cab, not doing a whole lot, right? The tractor's turning for me. The tractor's doing the guidance and the tillage. Why am I in the cab? And this camera system allows them to get out and go focus on other things, whether that be harvest, planting like we talked about, or even something like dinner and football games for the kids.
As with any new technology, Porter says there are some questions and concerns he's getting from farmers that he's happy to answer.
The big ones, there's a couple that come to mind. First is safety. How do I make sure this isn't going to run something over and the liability inside? And so the system has 16 cameras, and what I tell people is they're overlapping at all times. So anytime you're looking at that machine, there's probably 3 cameras looking at you. And unlike your and I's eyes in the cab, these don't blink, they don't look at their phone, and they don't nap. And so 16 of them, they're also looking 360 degrees. I can't do that. And so what's really cool about it is this system is always watching, is super safe. We've had no safety incidences. So that's usually the first question. And then the second one is usually, I've got this weird field or I've got this weird scenario. How does it handle that? And so just trying to get them to understand some of the base technology and how that works. It can go through waterways. It doesn't have to be a square field. As long as you can map it and view it in Operations Center, it'll come up with a path plan to attack and till that field for them.
And even as we're talking about new technology from Deere, Porter says he still gets the question, what's next?
For most of them, it's, hey, when's the next tool compatible? When's the next step in the production cycle? And so for us, we're really focused on making sure that we're meeting our customer needs on tillage, expanding the tillage portfolio of what's compatible with the tool. And then we'll look forward into how do we automate into autonomy the next step, whether it be sprayers, combines, grain carts, all those things. But today we want to make sure that we're really getting it right in the autonomous tillage space, and we'll continue to expand from there.
Time to check the forecast, brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
Mild air, bye-bye. Cold air racing in. A dramatic cold front swept through overnight last night. And here we are with strong west and northwest winds dominating the landscape. That's going to create lake effect cloud cover, at least over the northern part of Ohio. Lake effect snow could pile up pretty quickly in north central and especially northeastern parts of the state. We do not get rid of the clouds super fast over the next couple of days either. Cold air definitely in control through midweek. A clipper system may try and come through overnight Tuesday night tonight through Wednesday. That's New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, we may try and clear out a little bit early on, but cold air is here to stay through the end of the week. Rain overnight this coming Sunday night into early Monday, and then the cold air is back by the end of next week, back in the deep freeze like we were a few weeks ago. Bundle up. It's going to be a wild ride. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. The Ohio AgNet continues after this.
Attention farmers and ranchers, Purple Wave's December 30th Ag Auction features top equipment from Basigio Farms LLC Retirement Auction in Gordon, Nebraska. Upgrade your operation with our 2022 John Deere S770 STS Combine, Farm King 2450 Bale Mover, and a powerful 2020 John Deere 8R S10 MFWD Tractor. This is your chance to acquire field-ready machinery that performs, all selling at absolute no reserve to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com to view detailed listings and inspection information. Purple Wave Auctions, straight, simple, sold.
They didn't have skim milk for your coffee, so I just got formaldehyde.
Oh, isn't that stuff in floor cleaner?
Pizza's here. Would you like cheese on that? Or how about a Crowley?
Oh, no, that's in bug spray.
Hi there. Would you like to sample our new scent? Diethylene glycol.
Isn't that the stuff in antifreeze?
You wouldn't want to eat it, drink it, or even smell it, but that's exactly what's in your vapes. If you vape, quit. If you don't vape, don't start. For help, go to odh.ohio.gov/no vapes. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins. Carbon capture, of course, a big topic in Ohio and really across the country. Growmark's Endure Carbon program is teaming up with Indigo Ag here in the Buckeye State. Our very own Allison Kinney gets the details from Growmark's Lance Rupert and Indigo's Lauren Linder.
Agriculture is always evolving. Where do you see drive for sustainable agriculture going?
Well, I think we've tried to use carbon programs to allow our growers to get more aware of sustainable practices and make new revenue off those practices. We've partnered with Indigo Ag, and we're proud to be a partner with them. It goes back 4 to 5 years. The reason we picked them then, and the reason we're excited about working with them continually, is they're really the only ag carbon market that is registry approved. That means third party says, yeah, it's real, and you as a buyer should feel good about it. So that equals more sales, higher prices for those carbon tons, and they share more of that revenue with the farmer, which is really great. So it's flexible, good revenue, and we can also use one platform across multiple carbon programs, so inset markets or biofuels, which helps us be more efficient and work with growers more effectively. So that's why we've worked with Indigo and why we're excited about this program.
Mentioning carbon capture and the sustainable agriculture, partnering with Indigo, what does that market look like in Ohio? Where's that evolution going, and how's that going to help our farmers?
Yeah, that's a great question, Allison. So our carbon program, our Carbon by Indigo program, is currently available in the continental U.S. I will say we've certainly seen a critical mass in a state like Ohio. We've seen a lot of growers starting to adopt these practice changes, kind of take advantage of these programs. We work with partners like Growmark to effectively roll these programs out. We really see that as a point of validation, right? I mean, Growmark's been around a long time. They are trusted advisors to these growers. So when we're able to work with a network like Growmark's, we really see that as kind of a stamp of approval. And we are hopeful that the growers perceive that as well, right? This is something to be trusted. And in the state of Ohio specifically, we have announced a recent partnership with Honda. Honda has a number of operations across rural America. They do have several in the state of Ohio, and Honda is interested in supporting its own decarbonization efforts, of course, but also giving back to the communities in which they operate. And so this program, through partners like Growmark, and by offering these incentives to growers, it's kind of a really compelling story for all involved and a win-win-win.
There's always a lot of talk about implementation, but where do we see these benefits actually giving back to the farmers? Where are those farmers going to see those benefits for the implementation of the carbon credits?
The obvious one is the carbon program. I think the indirect one, that Lauren can speak to this too, but, soil health, potentially lower input costs. If you're doing no-till, you may have less trips across the field, which could save in fuel and equipment costs. Sometimes if we're using cover crops, when we're breaking those cover crops back down, kind of regenerates fertilizer or crop nutrients in that field. So I think there's co-benefits, as they call them, that growers can obtain from doing the conservation practices that are the big driver on a carbon creation or a carbon asset creation. To me, a huge one, like going into the future because of our weather patterns being odd. I mean, where I live in central Illinois, we haven't really had any significant rain since the end of July. Like, it's dry. So I think those conservation practices are going to be huge on keeping rainfall where it landed in a field so the crop can take advantage of it versus it running off and going down into the ditch, into the stream. So I think water management, if you want to call it that, or keeping the rainfall on the field for the crop is going to be huge in the future, that these practices are going to have an impact.
Farmers are always going to be skeptical, and how are you guys addressing that?
Yeah, so I think we've seen a lot of ups and downs in the carbon markets, right? And I think growers have a right to be skeptical, like just based on the programs that have been out there in the past. And what we really turn to now, we've been doing this for about 5 years. Carbon by Indigo has been around for a while. We're working with partners like Growmark, which again is its own indicator of quality. But we've also started to hit critical mass, right? We've issued over 1 million credits to date. We've paid over 3,000 farmers, right? We have 3,000 growers with an actual payment in cash, right, in their bank account. So I think those stats say a lot. And at the end of the day, these programs, the way we run them with partners like Growmark, is we adapt to where the grower is at, right? So we're not trying to come in there and telling a grower to completely change the way they operate, right? We're effectively saying, hey, if you're interested in regenerative practice change, you can dip a toe in the water, right? You can maybe do cover crops on a few fields, maybe drop a single tillage pass, right? Maybe improve your nitrogen timing a little bit. Whatever makes the most sense for your operation, get started, right? And then see how it works out for your program, right? We try to make it as kind of flexible as possible for growers. And what we found, which I think is interesting, Allison, and we've seen this with growers in Ohio specifically, but we have growers who start with, maybe 100 acres, 500 acres to get going, and they'll call us the next year and say, hey, this practice change, it looks like it's working. I like what I'm seeing in my bank account. I'm going to enroll my whole operation, right? So I would say we allow growers to do it at their own pace, and we have some of these indicator metrics that I think speak to the quality and the value that we bring.
Not all farmers are just going to be row crops. Is there a way to tie in livestock operations along with the row crop operation?
That is an excellent question, Allison, and I will say that our team is absolutely looking into that. We've gotten that question in the past. Right now, anything we do when we roll it out, it has to be backed up by extensive data, comprehensive data. It has to go through several approval processes before we can kind of finalize it as a practice change. So while growers can, have grazing happening, we are not able currently to quantify that as an actual carbon credit. We are working on it, though, so stay tuned.
That's the Ohio AgNet's Allison Kinney with Lance Rupert from Growmark and Lauren Linder of Indigo Ag. Before we get to market numbers, let's get some news behind the numbers with Ryan Martin.
Grain markets weaker on Friday. We talked about the soy side of things. Corn and wheat futures were lower on the hope that Ukraine and Russia can reach a ceasefire. There were multiple attacks on Ukraine port infrastructure over the past couple of weeks. Even last week into the Christmas holiday week, there were attacks as well. This week should be interesting. We get back to somewhat better volume and trade. Unlike Christmas Eve, where we saw a shortened trading day, New Year's Eve is going to be a normal day all the way through. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. Hard to believe just a few more days left in 2025, isn't it? Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Very little movement, actually no movement at all for the corn market early on. Trading at $4.49 3/4, down by a quarter penny is the March. May no change, $4.58 1/4. July corn $4.64 1/4, also unchanged. Soybeans for January $4 1/4 to the plus side, trading at $10.63 a bushel. March $10.77 up by 4.5. May beans up 4.5 at $10.84 3/4. July wheat $5.42 1/4, down a quarter penny. September also down a quarter. That wheat contract trading at $5.56 a bushel. Live cattle $229.82 for December. That's up $1.12. February $1.10 higher at $229.65. March feeder cattle $340.42 up $1.62. Lean hogs for February down 52 points at 84.52. April lean hogs 89.47 down 32, and May 93.42 down by 22 points. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins reporting. We'll see you down the road.